Right, one of the last jobs to do is set the brakes up, do all the correct adjustment, and then we need to connect that flexi line onto there and connect it at the other end. So there's a joiner halfway down, which is where I made the new brake pipe go from, and do all the adjustment, get the handbrake working, get the foot brake working, bleed the brakes, etc. So the first thing to do, as far as I can work out, is I've got these, there we go, I've got these bell cranks slackened right off. So there, you see they're not even touching. You can't even see, can you? There you go. There's a big air gap there, they're not even touching. I'm not going to bother adjusting those until I've got the initial adjustment done on the brakes. So we need to basically twiddle this and we'll keep slotting the drum on until we just about feel a tiny little bit of drag. It should start to get a little bit harder to put on, and then you know you're sort of pretty close. And then what you can do is waggle the handbrake up and down, and that will do take up the final adjustment. I think there is a spec between the distance, you know, between that and the drum. It's like sort of 1/2 mil or something like that. Then we can sort of adjust the bell crank screws and any adjustment on the handbrake cable. So I'll get you guys in a stand and we'll get set up and start adjusting. I think first thing I'm going to do is just clean the drums again and clean the shoes a little bit, just for a bit of brake cleaner. Probably can't even see what I'm doing, but it's just that once I've set them, they're going to be on and hopefully stay on. So I've already cleaned them when I was doing the initial assembly, but doesn't hurt to give them an extra little wipe down just in case I've been touching them with my grubby mitts. So if I just try the drum on this to start with. See, that goes on really sloppy. So give that a few turns, try it again. I think I might have gone too far too soon. I think I'm going to call it good on that side. Now I've done that, I think that's still a little bit on the tight side. You can hear it dragging a little bit too much, so I'm just going to take it off and adjust it. I'll bring you back in a minute. Just slackened it off a little bit because I think it was dragging a bit too much. Right, we'll give that a try. Let's do the other side. Right, we've got both sides adjusted at the back. Well, I think so. And now you just pull the handbrake up and down. You can just hold the button in, pull it up and down a few times. That should click the little ratchet system and like set the final adjustment. And you should hopefully end up with about 7 to 9 clicks on the handbrake. So I'm just going to listen to see if I can hear the adjusters clicking at the back. Seven, 9, 10. I can get 11 if I really pull it. And I put this nut on, the adjuster nut on, just loosely because I think that's kind of the last thing you have to adjust. Again, I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing, to be honest, but if it's all wrong, I can do it again. So if I just take up a little bit of that now, not a lot, just give it a couple of turns. Seven, 9 is quite 10. Yeah, I reckon we're about there. Feels okay. I'll go and set the little adjusters at the back now. Right, again, I think there's a spec where the gap between that bolt and the backing plate should be 0.5 or 0.8 of a mil or something like that. So at the moment it's not touching it. I've unscrewed it. So I'm going to screw it in until it just touches, and then pull on it, and that's just got a little bit of room to play, like to pull away. So I'm going to give that a try and see how that is. Let's lock it into place. I hope I went the right way. Okay, I can just pull it away, probably about just less than a mil. So I'll do the same on the other side, and then we'll go and try the handbrake again and see how it all sort of feels. Like I say, if it's completely wrong, I can start again and do it in a different order. Okay, I've done the other side, so let's see how the handbrake feels now. Seven, 9. I can go a bit more, which is strange. Okay, right, I'll have a little look. See how it all sort of feels, and maybe try a different order of doing things. The other thing is the brake pedal obviously isn't connected. Now if that was connected and I hadn't touched the brakes, I could feel on the pedal if it felt soft or if it felt hard. You'd get an idea of where they are. but I'm pretty confident that just doing the brakes without doing the, you know, the hydraulic side of things should get me adjusted where I want to be. But I'm just not sure in the exact order between doing the bell crank adjustment, the manual shoe adjustment, and then the final adjustment on the handbrake. Because like I say, the handbrake cable's new, shoes, drums, they're all new, wheel cylinders are new, all the springs and linkages, everything's new, bell cranks are new. So I've kind of got no reference point, so it is just a case of trial and error. I'm sure I could look it up, but that's no fun. Well, you don't learn anything that way, so I shall have a little play around and bring it back when I've got some info. Okay, I've been having a little play around. The handbrake is now on. We can turn the wheel. So I shall take the drums off and double check all the adjustment again, and probably have to twiddle the cog a bit more, and we'll try it again. Okay, I've been playing around a little bit. I just went back and checked the adjustment on both sides. This one I had to adjust a lot more, and I counted the number of threads showing on the adjuster, and there's about 4 threads showing on this side, and that seemed to bring it up tight. Well, not tight, but you know, just sort of so that the drum would just about slide on. On the other side I did it the same, but the drum would not go on, and for some reason the other side's only about 2 threads. But it was, anyway, I put them back together and, you know, up and down on the handbrake a few times, and now it's, if you pull the handbrake up sort of about 11 clicks, it will lock the brakes on. But if you do it at 7 clicks, you can just about turn it. 9 clicks, you can just about turn it. So it's still not right, and I'm not sure why the other side is slightly sort of looser than this side for some reason. So I think what I'm going to do is get the hydraulic line connected up and get that sort of all bled, and then try and readjust the handbrakes again and go from scratch. It's probably just because everything is new. I mean, absolutely everything is new on the brakes. The handbrake cable, drums, shoes, wheel cylinders, fitting kit, cables, bell cranks, absolutely everything. So we're literally starting from scratch. So it might take, you know, a few goes to get it sort of dialed in. But yeah, we'll get those brakes lines connected and bled, and then we'll come back and try the adjustment again. Right, just finally off axle stands. I've just bled the brakes, and they all bled up absolutely fine. Connected the flexi hose there in the middle, and also managed to get the panhard bar bolt in, which I knew it'd go in once the car was back on the ground, because obviously as it compresses the suspension it moves that way slightly, so the bolt hole lined up. No leaks on all the new brake lines that I made, so I'm chuffed about that. And also at the connection up at the front there, that was fine as well. So yeah, they all bled up nicely. I've got a nice stiff pedal now. So we're getting there. So I'm calling it a day for today, because I've been doing other things and I'm knackered. But tomorrow we'll carry on. We'll get the car jacked up via the centre diff there and put axle stands under the axle. Get the wheels off, and then see about, you know, readjusting the brakes. I think it'll be a bit easier now that we've bled the brakes and we've done sort of an initial adjustment. It should hopefully sort of all come in and get it dialed in so that the handbrake works as it should. I'll do a bit of reading on it. I like to try and work things out myself rather than, you know, just Googling stuff as everyone does nowadays, because you don't learn anything by doing that. Yeah, it's quicker, but sometimes it's, you know, someone somewhere had to work it out, didn't they? So, you know, it's good to follow in the footsteps and try and get your brain working a bit. So, so tomorrow we'll do that. One slight downside that I've noticed now the car's lower, I did think it would be close, but this isn't going to work. So if I draw a line there, that's about straight. I need to take like just over an inch off, so I need to cut them here, which I kind of knew that I'd have to do it. I should have done it, obviously, in hindsight. Got a little wax bogey there. Let's get that off. So yeah, I'll pop the caps off, cut it flush, grind it, make it smooth, and then I'll stripe coat the edge with some rust encapsulator, a couple of coats. Then I'll just stripe coat it with I've got some of that direct to metal black paint left over, just because it's on the end. It won't matter as long as it's protected so it doesn't rust. And so that I've got enough room to allow the clearance, so that'll be fine. But trial and error when you make stuff yourself. But we're getting there. Right, I'll see you guys in the morning. Bye. Right, it's the next day and I'm still trying to sort these brakes out. I noticed that there's sort of quite a difference in behaviour between this side and the other side, and just kept jumping backwards and forwards between each side, comparing, seeing if I'd assembled anything wrong or if there was any major difference. And the only difference I could see was the handbrake lever had a lot more play in it this side. I kept jumping back and forwards and basically found that this cutout, it's like a little notch that this bit slots into, basically wasn't quite wide enough, so it wasn't slotting all the way in, hence there was slack. So I just took it apart and just filed out that slot to allow this to go all the way in, which it does, because I checked the other side and the other side is like that, but this side wasn't. And that sits nicely in there now, and this lever isn't flapping around like it was before. So I don't know if that's solved all the problems, but it's certainly part of the problem. It's certainly going to help. And the reason for that is because these are, aftermarket brakes. They're not genuine Toyota ones, and there's obviously mold problems and just pattern issues over the years. I think these are Stark, it's the make of them. I dare say if you get Febby or Brembo or some of the slightly more well-known aftermarket brands, you probably wouldn't have that problem. Or if you went genuine Toyota, of course you wouldn't have that problem. But these are a lot cheaper, so we'll put this all back on and start adjusting and see how we go. Well, that was it. That was the problem. Just did the adjustment over again. What you saw me do when I first started this, twiddling the cog, getting it so that the drum just about slides on with a little bit of friction. Doing that both sides, pulling the handbrake up and down a few times, let it adjust the rest of the way automatically. Adjusted these just so that they take up the slack of that inner cable, and the handbrake cable nut is kind of like that, so I can put the extra nut on, and that's given me I've got 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I've got 9 if I give it a bit of a harder yank, and that's locking these drums up nicely now. I've put a big pry bar on and try and move it with the handbrake up, and they're locked on nicely. So I'm happy with that. They'll get better as well once they start to bed in, because they're all brand new shoes, so tick that off the list. And next, I think we can finally put this interior back together and tidy out all this crap that's in here. No, before I do that, I've got to wait on my tow bar electrics to arrive. I've got one of those plates with the 12-end socket on and a 1.5 metre of loom attached, and we'll just get that connected up, then we can put the interior back in. Then we're getting there. Right guys, that's it for now. I'll see you on the next one. And I'm cutting the ends down. Just waiting for paint to dry. And put some black on there. Put the end caps back on.